Hello everybody. It's bank holiday, but I thought I'll read a couple of chapters to keep you going over the weekend. This is chapter 29. Less than an hour later we were back in the garage and I had discovered several things. Number one, Dad's patience was running low. I knew I'd been skiving the household jobs. I tried sneaking in the back door and up to Libby's room without him hearing, but he was sorting out paintbrushes downstairs and called me. "Where have you been, Sunshine?" He only ever calls me Sunshine when he's annoyed. "I need some help. We have to get this place sorted." I promised I'd help him later and scooted off. Pressed for time, I hadn't had a great deal of choice over the clothes for Alfie. Number two, Roxy's mum lived in the front room because she couldn't get upstairs easily. I'd have to ask Roxy what was wrong with her mum another time. Is that what you say? What's wrong? Or is it something else like, what is the nature of her disability? Who knows? I got the impression that it wouldn't take much to set her mum off. Number three, Alfie was a boy. That is, not an adolescent yet. You can tell these things when someone is naked and being helped in and out of the bath. I guess he was about my age, so I asked him, "How old are you, mate?" But he didn't answer. In fact, he didn't say a single word all the way through the bath while I washed his hair and he kept his arm out of the water. His other arm, number four, his other arm has two small scars on the biceps, each about 5 centimetres long, like an equals sign. I didn't ask him about it. Number 5, he has a tattoo. I know, 11 years old and a tattoo. It's on his back between his shoulder blades. It's a square cross, quite blurred and big, with a pattern on it that was hard to make out. It looked like one that Grandad Linklater had done when he was in the Navy years ago, all smudged and faded. After he came out of the bath, I helped him to dry himself and get dressed. I'd given him a pair of my underpants. They were too big, but it was better than him wearing Libby's knickers. Her jeans fitted him okay, except they had sparkly sequins in a line down the hem of each leg. He didn't say anything. The t-shirt was plain black, and what I thought was a sweater turned out to be a cardigan in pale blue and white, and he couldn't put it on yet because of his arm. A pair of Libby's striped wellies completed a look that was, by anyone's standards, completely bizarre. If Alfie minded, he didn't show it. Back in the garage, Roxy had acquired bandages and the gauze stuff that goes under them, some cream in a tube, cotton wool and a bowl of water. Like the world's gentlest nurse, she bathed Alfie's burnt arm and smoothed the cream on it, pausing when he sucked his lips with the pain, then wrapped the bandage round, not too tight, securing it with a safety pin. She had brought some apples. Alfie ate 3, one after the other, core, pips, everything. When it was all done, he whispered, "Thank you," and then, out of nowhere, started crying. Great heaving sobs that shook his body. All Roxy and I could do was sit next to him. Roxy put her arm round him and said, "Shh," like a mother would, and stroked his hair. On and on it went, like a summer storm that eases for a few minutes, then comes back again, even more intense. In the end, Roxy was crying too, and I thought for a moment it was all going to set me off as well. Eventually, though, the throbbing stopped, flopped back, exhausted, on the sofa. His mouth dropped open and his head shook slightly from side to side, and then that stopped and he was quiet. His eyes were still closed when I said, "Do you want to come inside, Alfie? Meet my dad? We can make up a bed for you." He opened his eyes, but he didn't move his head. I had said the wrong thing again. "If you tell anyone that I am here, anyone, you'll regret it." Then he closed his eyes. You would have thought he was sleeping, except that the tears kept coming for a long time. Part 2. Oh my goodness, Part 2. Chapter 30. Quickly, said Roxy, when we were out of the garage. What's your mobile number? She gave me this wide-eyed look of disbelief when I told her I didn't have a phone. Honestly, if I said I'd had a pet crocodile, she couldn't have looked more horrified. I didn't tell her about our money problems, about how my dad said we didn't need another monthly bill in the house. Instead, I gave her our landline number. I'll call you, I said. It'll be better that way. And remember, not a word to anyone, said Roxy. Are you sure that's right? I mean, you heard what he said. Let's do what he asked, at least for the moment. Otherwise it might make him worse. I don't want to take that risk, do you? I nodded, perhaps a bit reluctantly, but it was a nod nonetheless. I'll spare you the telling off I got from Dad. Lazy, selfish, skiver, more or less sums it up. Auntie Alice and Uncle Jasper were out on Jasper's boat, so it meant the rest of the afternoon was spent helping Dad to paint Libby's bedroom's walls mauve, unloading the final boxes, moving furniture around, wiping surfaces and vacuuming, so that when Mum got back at 7 from the call centre, the place would be ship-shape, with a casserole in the oven and Dad in a good mood again. With all the unpacking, I had found a bag of my 2 smalls, which hadn't made its way to the charity shop, and a woolen blanket I'd never seen before that I figured wouldn't be missed. I stashed them under my bed for later. In fact, Dad's mood was good enough that, despite my promise to Roxy, I decided to tell him about Alfie. I know, but think about it. Alfie was injured, distressed, homeless. His mum had died, and as a result, he was probably not even thinking straight. To heck with the promises, he needed help from an adult. I'd even worked out how I was going to say it, and probably even taken the breath that would form the words, when I heard Mum's key in the door. It would have to wait for now. Except Dad's good mood didn't last. Mum hadn't been back 10 minutes, and already they were hissing at each other, and I don't even know what kicked it off. I heard her say, "I can do without this, Ben, after 10 hours of being sworn at by idiots." All I knew was that I didn't want to be around, and there was no way I would raise the matter of Alfie right now. "I'm just nipping next door," I said, sticking my head into the living room, where Dad was leaning against the mantelpiece, head bowed, a pile of open mail in front of him. Bills, I could tell that much. I'm not sure they even heard me. Poor Aidan. Poor family. Okay, so chapter 31 coming next week. Have a lovely weekend, everybody. Bye.